Hello everybody, welcome back to the Dig Site, and we are back with yet another Reviewing Dinosaurs episode. This episode has a lot of information to cover, so make sure to stick around to the end so you don't miss anything. Before I start, I hope that everyone had an amazing Christmas and spent lots of time with their family. I know I did. Also, I finally released my 200 subscriber special, which is an hour-long horror dinosaur story. I would appreciate it if you went and listened to that after watching this video because I spent a lot of time and effort to make it. Anyway, with all that out of the way, enjoy the video. Today's dinosaur is none other than the lizard from Edmonton, the Edmontosaurus. Edmontosaurus currently has two species, the first being Edmontosaurus regalis, the second being Edmontosaurus annectens. We'll talk a little bit more about them later. Edmontosaurus lived around the late Cretaceous period, close to 73 to 65 million years ago. They mainly lived in what is now known as North America. Edmontosaurus regalis lived in Alberta, whereas Edmontosaurus annectens lived in Saskatchewan, Montana, North Dakota, and potentially Alberta. However, some research indicates that Edmontosaurus could have potentially traveled to parts of Asia. However, there is not enough evidence to support this claim. Edmontosaurus was one of the largest hadrosaurids to ever live, reaching lengths to up to 40 feet and achieving heights of around 10 feet tall. These animals also potentially weighed around 5 to 7 tons. Edmontosaurus is a part of the Hadrosauridae group. Members who lived in the North American hadrosaur group consisted of Corythosaurus, Parasaurolophus, Lambeosaurus, and more. Every single member of this group is herbivorous, meaning that they ate plants. Now, you may be wondering why I didn't talk about Edmontosaurus' discovery and the founder, and that's because this dinosaur had somewhat of an identity crisis. You see, it was believed that Edmontosaurus was discovered in Drumheller, Alberta in 1912 by a paleontologist named Levi Sternberg. Later on, it was described by Lawrence Lamb in 1917, classifying it as Edmontosaurus regalis. However, surprisingly enough, this was not the first time this dinosaur had been discovered. It turns out that an earlier specimen was retrieved in 1892, found by none other than Othniel Charles Marsh. Later, it was described and the animal was named Claosaurus annectens, but unfortunately, this early specimen was lost. Since both of these finds were a part of the same genus, Lamb decided to rename the specimen that Othniel Charles Marsh found into what is now known as Edmontosaurus annectens. The dinosaur was named after where it was found, that is, the lower Edmonton Formation, which is now known as Horseshoe Canyon. Edmontosaurus has made many appearances in movies and shows, with one of the most recent being Prehistoric Planet. It has also made some cameos in the Jurassic Park saga, however, not as a living breathing animal, but instead as skulls and bones. But Jurassic Park did not forget about this animal, making it a dinosaur that you can create and use in both of the Jurassic World Evolution games. Edmontosaurus most likely lived in wetlands as well as waterlogged forest environments. Dinosaurs that lived alongside the massive hadrosaur consisted of Triceratops, Pachycephalosaurus, Ankylosaurus, and most importantly, Tyrannosaurus rex. I want to focus on a little bit about the relationship between Edmontosaurus and T-Rex. When we see a hadrosaur, like an Edmontosaurus, we usually think it's an easy meal for something like a T-Rex. As we all know, T-Rex was one of the most powerful dinosaurs to ever exist, and it is most likely that they preyed on dinosaurs such as Edmontosaurus. There is evidence to support this, since numerous Edmontosaurus fossils were found with teeth marks engraved or puncture wounds in their bones from Tyrannosaurus rex attacks. However, a common misconception about these large herbivores is that they were defenseless against an attack. In reality, an adult Edmontosaurus probably had a decent chance of killing a Tyrannosaurus back then. But how, you ask? Well, it's simple. If you look at the two animals, you can see that Edmontosaurus practically towers T-Rex, and even though it does not have horns like a Triceratops or armor plating like the Ankylosaurus, it has size and weight on its side. To back up this claim, a fossilized bite mark on an Edmontosaurus annectens skull was found in the Hell Creek region. The skull showed signs of trauma, with the shape and size of the bite mark indicating that this adult Edmontosaurus was attacked by a T-Rex. The wound eventually healed, showing that the hadrosaur survived and escaped. This indicates that this animal managed to successfully fend off an attack from the powerful T-Rex. But how did it escape? How does it defend itself? Well, some suggest that Edmontosaurus could either produce powerful kicks to immobilize and break the bones of an attacker, or maybe it used its powerful thick tail to smack the predators. But like most hadrosaurs, Edmontosaurus was quick, so the most probable weapon Edmontosaurus used was its speed, being able to outmaneuver T-Rex. However, that does not mean that these animals are invincible. What I've just stated now is talking about a fully grown adult Edmontosaurus. The Tyrannosaurus rexes are not stupid enough to always go after a full-grown Edmontosaurus, just like how they would not go for a full-grown Triceratops. The only reason they would do that is if they were desperate for a meal. In reality, when hunting, Tyrannosaurus rex would most likely go for the young juveniles since they are weaker than the adults. Saying all this though, if it was a one-on-one fight against these two animals, when it comes to overall power and strength, T-Rex would most definitely kill an adult. Yet there is always that slight possibility that the Edmontosaurus could either escape by running away or inflict serious damage before getting killed. If it was a life or death situation, the Edmontosaurus would not go down without a fight. Edmontosaurus most likely lived in herds due to all the bone beds that have been found, containing both adults and juveniles. Each herd holds up to tens, maybe even hundreds of Edmontosauruses. Fossilized trackways imprinted on the ground reveal that the young would accompany the herd when moving from place to place, since there are both large and small footprints preserved in the rock. Although there have not been any Edmontosaurus eggs discovered yet, paleontologists suggest that they would lay their eggs similar to all other hadrosaurs. Edmontosaurus had many teeth, and when I say many, I mean it. This hadrosaur had up to 1,000 teeth that would be replaced throughout its entire life. These teeth were leaf-shaped and packed very closely to one another. As they chewed, the bottom jaw made contact with the upper jaw. They would grind against each other, slowly wearing them down to form a tooth pavement, allowing them to perfectly grind up all sorts of plant matter. Now that I have covered a bit about the behavior and general lifestyle Edmontosaurus lived, let's uncover the differences between Edmontosaurus regalis and Edmontosaurus annectens. As I mentioned before, Edmontosaurus regalis lived in mainly Alberta, whereas Edmontosaurus annectens has been discovered in multiple parts of North America, like Saskatchewan, Montana, North Dakota, and potentially Alberta as well. When it comes to overall size, Edmontosaurus regalis is generally larger, yet both can reach lengths longer than 40 feet. The main difference between these two animals is not the length though. Instead, it is their skulls. As you can see, Edmontosaurus regalis has more of a robust and shorter skull, whereas Edmontosaurus annectens' skull is slender and is somewhat smaller. Another thing to mention is that atop of Edmontosaurus regalis' head lies a cranial crest, which is not apparent with the annectens. However, Edmontosaurus annectens does have a longer and wider muzzle. That is all for today. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like as well as subscribe to the channel, as well as turn on the notifications so you don't miss any more of my videos. I mainly wanted to talk about how strong Edmontosauruses were, and how they could easily defend themselves against T-Rex. I doubt many people actually realize how much of a threat an adult Edmontosaurus really was. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you have an amazing rest of your day.